Derby County loanee Nat Phillips' future is close to being revealed after reports suggesting that Derby County are leading the way for the signing of the central defender from Liverpool on a free transfer. Now, this comes in an article from EFL Analysis in an exclusive with transfer expert Graham Bailey, who has been discussing where Nat Phillips could end up over the course of this next summer. Now, obviously, Derby County have a vested interest in Nat Phillips after having him on loan over the course of this championship campaign, where he ended up being a key part of John Eustace's Derby County squad as they survived in the championship at the back end of the season. Now, across the course of this loan spell, he made 24 starts with 32 appearances, 3 assists, 1 goal scored with 2,233 minutes, averaging a 6.99 average rating as per FootMob, with 5 yellow cards and 0 reds. And under John Eustace, he only had, I think it was maybe 1 appearance below that rating of a 7. And I think he was one of the key parts of Derby County's defence, especially that back 5. Now, according to EFL Analysis, he will probably be heading to Derby County, and Derby County have a good chance of retaining the player. Now, at 28 years old, he's obviously shown just how good he is in the championship for Derby County. As we know, they were putting in pretty much playoff form for the back end of the championship season under John Eustace, and Nat Phillips was a key reason why that was happening. Now, obviously, the big conversation when it comes to the returning potential signing of Nat Phillips is his contract at Liverpool. Now, reports suggest, I can't find anything to dispel this, that he does not have an optional year extension at Liverpool. Now, if he does, no one seems to be under the impression that Liverpool will extend that option. Now, Nat Phillips is on around £65,000 a week at Liverpool, which obviously opens up that conversation for Derby County about whether they can afford the player on a potential sort of deal, whether it be free transfer or permanent, whether it be a free transfer or another loan spell. And obviously loan spell is more applicable because you can sort of agree a deal with the senior team about whether how much you want to pay and things like that. And obviously for me, I don't think he's going to be asking for £65,000 a week if Derby County are to sort of put in an offer. Will he get offers that are probably better than Derby County's wage package? I do personally believe that he will. I think when you look at some of the teams coming down, Leicester, Ipswich, who's the other one, Southampton, I think all of them may take a vested interest in Nat Phillips, given the performances he's put in the Championship. But does that mean that Nat Phillips will go and sign for them? In my opinion, no. I think what you've got to look at is if he comes into Derby County now, the players that we have in that centre-back position is Matt Clark, Curtis Nelson, Sondre Langas and Jake Rooney. Obviously, Ryan Diambi can step in. And Craig Forsyth, whose contract hasn't been announced yet, but it has been announced that he is in talks. He can also fill in that role as well, as can Ebu Adams. But at the start of next season, Derby County are going to be missing Curtis Nelson and Sondre Langas as they still continue to recover from their injuries. Obviously, Curtis Nelson, his ACL, and Sondre Langas has had surgery on a torn meniscus. Now, that then opens the door for Nat Phillips to be the starting right-sided centre-half for Derby County in a back 4 or even in a back 3 should Derby County go down that route under John Eustace. And I think that then opens the door for Derby County to have this conversation. Now, it's quite clear that John Eustace enjoyed working with Nat Phillips and really had sort of high thoughts of him heading into this season, because I'm pretty sure he's started the last 12 games for Derby County. It might have been a bit more than that, but he's been a key part of that defensive unit since John Eustace walked through the door. And I think what will be important for Derby County is making sure that we build sort of a solid sort of shell of a team. So we're talking goalkeeper Zetterstrom, solid. We've then got Clark left centre back. Let's say Langas at the moment right centre back. You've then got Ebu Adams ahead of that, and then you've still got work to do in those midfield areas and the forward line. Now, in my opinion, if you've got the centre-back depth of Curtis Nelson, Nat Phillips, Sondre Langas and Matt Clark, I don't think you're going to have problems in the defensive line. The big conversation then is about what would be the plan for Jake Rooney in that position. And I've said it before already over the course of the last few weeks that I do think Jake Rooney will head out on loan. Where he will go, I'm not entirely sure, but for me, he's got to go out and play consistent football. I'm not saying that Jake Rooney is going to end up being Derby County's sort of main man in a few years' time, but if he goes out and plays 30 games at the top end of League One, I certainly think it opens the door for a conversation for him to be a key player for us. Now, obviously, when Jake Rooney broke through at Derby County, he was in the midfield area. He made his debut against Mansfield under Liam Rosenior in that holding midfield role ahead of, I think it was Erin Cashin and Curtis Davis, who were playing in the back two at the time. So I think there is a possibility that John Eustace may use him in that role, but we don't exactly know yet, and we're going to have to wait till pre-season to see where exactly Jake Rooney does fit in, if he does fit in with what John Eustace is trying to do. Now, I don't think Rooney has any sort of impact on what's going to happen with Nat Phillips, but I do think that there has to be a conversation around that sort of depth area at centre-half. And I think if we are able to bring in Nat Phillips, I think that is... it would be an unbelievable transfer for Derby County, because he is quite clearly a very good championship player and has shown his ability time and time again for Derby County this season, as he's played for the club under John Eustace. And, do you know, I'm not going to say that Derby County were better off once... I'm not going to say Derby County were better off once Cashin left, but I certainly felt as if Derby County certainly got a much better defensive unit once Erin Cashin and Curtis Nelson got injured. And obviously, the big thing then is, was Erin Cashin given too much praise by Derby County fans? And in my opinion, I think he was certainly given sort of a lot of over-the-top praise by Derby County fans, because obviously as an academy product, he was an academy product that ultimately didn't necessarily have the easiest ride into the first team. And I think it was when we went into administration, he nearly ended up not getting a contract at the club, which could have seen him wash out of football. Like some of the players who fell out of contracts that summer, Cornell McDonald is now playing non-league. Like, there's a load of players from that sort of cohort that lost contracts and now aren't even playing football or are even playing in non-league. So obviously, you've got that big discussion with Erin Cashin. But for me, when Derby County moved away from what was the successful defensive line of League One and moved to a defensive line of the Championship with Matt Clark, with Nat Phillips, Sondre Langas, I think Derby County became a much better defensive unit and were a much better defensive side. And I think it showed in the results we got as well. I think Matt Clark is much better than Curtis Nelson. I think he's better. I think right now he's better than Cashin, but ultimately in the end I do think Cashin will be the better player. I think Nat Phillips and Sondre Langas are better than Nelson, in my opinion. But we'll have to wait and see sort of how Nelson sort of responds after his ACL surgery. And you can obviously let me know your thoughts on Curtis Nelson's return down in the comments. Now, if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button, you turn on that notification bell, hit the like button as well to push this video to brand new audiences. And I'll catch you in my next one.